These men had an evil purpose. They made their plans in secret, and there were two or more involved. Those are the requirements of the definition of a conspiracy. But the question to be answered is why the American people do not understand what all of the symbols on the back of the dollar bill mean. Probably less than 1 out of 100 citizens of America could explain the meaning of the pyramid, the eye, the eagle, or the Latin phrases. So all of these symbols are concealed because those who founded this nation were concealing a truth from the American people. And the reason they concealed it is because that truth is so evil that if the American people knew what it was, the conspirators would not be allowed to bring it into fruition. End of part 1. Please hold for part 2. Part 2 of 4. Now let me examine the symbols in the Great Seal of the United States. First then, it becomes important to define the Latin phrases shown on the reverse side. The phrase annuit coeptus means announcing, coeptus means the conception of or the birth of. The second phrase is novus ordo seclorum, and it means novus, new, order, seclorum, secular, meaning world. So the phrase means the New World Order. So the Latin phrases on this side of the Great Seal are translated to mean announcing the birth of the New World Order. And this was incorporated in the Great Seal in 1782. The pyramid is another symbol, and it too has a hidden meaning. The student must question why the founding fathers in America even put a pyramid in the Great Seal at all, because there are no stone pyramids in the United States. Also notice that the American pyramid is smooth on all sides. This is a photograph of a pyramid in Latin America. Notice that it is stepped, meaning the line on each side is broken by steps constructed out of bricks or stone. But notice one thing. Twice each year, the sun rises in such a way as to shine only on the wall on one side of the stairway, revealing a snake of 6 segments, with the 7th being its head, coming down to earth from the top of the pyramid. And notice that the head of the snake has an open mouth, a symbol meaning the snake is speaking to the people, revealing a previously unknown truth to them. This is a book entitled Mysteries of the Mexican Pyramids, written by Peter Tompkins. And this is a close-up of the snake's head on the ground in front of another of the stone pyramids. Notice once again that its mouth is open. It would seem that the pyramid builders in Mexico believed that their god, the serpent, lived in the house on top of the pyramid and came to visit Earth twice a year to speak to them. Now these are the 3 most photographed pyramids in Egypt, and even though they appear to be stepped, they were constructed with smooth sides, and many of these smooth stones were removed during the early years for construction of the city of Cairo. You can still see some of the facing stones on the top of the pyramid in the center. So there must be, and is, another reason for the Founding Fathers to place a drawing of a pyramid in the Great Seal. Manly P. Hall discussed the pyramid in the Great Seal as being a model of the Great Pyramid of Giza near Cairo, Egypt. He wrote this on page 178 of his book entitled The Secret Destiny of America. Here, on the reverse side, is represented the Great Pyramid of Giza. This is perhaps the one that is featured the most of all of the pyramids in Egypt. It is the one with the secret passageways inside that lead to what Egyptologists call the king's chamber, the queen's chamber, and a room beneath the ground level underneath the pyramid called the subterranean chamber or room. It is commonly believed that the pyramid was built as a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu and his wife, but Mr. Hall believes that this belief is not correct. He wrote in the Secret Teachings of All Ages, the theory advanced by Herodotus, the father of history, and was born in approximately 485 BC and died in approximately 425 BC, and now generally accepted that the pyramid was the tomb of the pharaoh, cannot be substantiated. He then wrote about why he believed the pyramid was constructed. Hall wrote, the pyramid and the all-seeing eye represent the universal house. Notice that he said the pyramid was a house, meaning it is a place for a god to reside. Continuing, he went on, surmounted by the radiant emblem of the great architect of the universe, meaning the eye inside the triangle. So Mr. Hall is informing his readers that the pyramid was not built as a tomb, but was constructed as a house for a god to live in. And he named that god as being the great architect of the universe. I will discuss the identity of that god a little later. This is Albert Pike, the leader of the worldwide Masonic movement from 1859 to 1891, perhaps the greatest Mason of all time. He added one more piece of the puzzle when he told his readers in his book entitled Morals and Dogma that there was another important understanding of the pyramid. This book was published in 1871 by the Masons and is probably the most important book they've ever published. He wrote this on page 460 of that book. The pyramid was erected in honor of the sun. So Mr. Pike was stating that the pyramid had some connection with a worship of the sun as a god. And Mr. Hall added another ingredient to the puzzle. He said the pyramid was used to initiate men into a worship of this hidden sun god. He wrote this. The initiation took place in one of the subterranean halls of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Through the majestic passageways and chambers of the Great Pyramid, past the illumined of antiquity, meaning those illuminated by the initiation. They entered its portals as men. They came forth as gods. Now, I would like to suspend the discussion of the Great Seal of the United States for a related subject, one that I believe I was the first historian to publish on. This discussion is extremely relevant to the general subject of America's secret destiny, as I am hoping you will see. I want to briefly show you some evidence that these initiates are all over the world, and that one of the ways you can identify an initiate is by a sign called the lion's paw, which is a sign indicating that the person giving the sign has been born again to the ancient mystery religion. And not just to the ancient mystery religion, but to the God of the ancient mystery religion, Lucifer, also called Satan, the devil. This is an Egyptian hieroglyph of a pharaoh being prepared for eternal life on a table representing a lion. You will see the lion's head on the left of the table and the tail on the right. The lion is an Egyptian symbol of eternal life. Here is another Egyptian drawing showing someone in a lion's head kneeling by the corpse of someone. I presume the X on his chest means the individual is dead. Notice again that the lion is holding an ankh, a symbol of eternal life. This is the drawing that Mr. Hall said showed a, quote, lion's paw in the Pyramid Mysteries. This drawing was put into his book entitled The Lost Keys of Freemasonry. It shows the man being raised by the lion's paw. This drawing shows that in his case, the man, not the lion, is the ankh. In his case, he's got it in his hand rather, meaning that he's being raised up into eternal life through the lion's paw. In other words, of the Masons, they say that the ceremony raises up the initiate to the ancient mystery religion, meaning he has, quote, been born again, end quote, to the God of the ancient mystery religion. Let me say this now, and as I will continue to prove, that the God of the ancient mystery religion is Lucifer, also called Satan, the devil. As you know, the Christians say that after the Christian is baptized, he is said to be born again to the God of the Bible. And here the Masons are saying that the initiate is said to be born again to the God of the ancient mystery religion. So may I recommend that whenever you hear someone say they are born again, ask them to whom they are born again to. As we just saw, it is possible to be born again to Lucifer or to be born again to Jesus. This is the statue of Khufu, also called Cheops, the Greek name for Khufu, the builder of the Great Pyramid. This is the earliest use of the symbol that I have found. Notice the position of Khufu's right hand. That sign is called the lion's paw. This is the statue of Khufu's high priest Kal. The article accompanying the photograph said that he served all three pharaohs who built pyramids on the Giza plateau. This is a drawing of Napoleon. I have read where some historians think that he was a member of the Illuminati, but establishing that fact has been difficult. Notice here that he is shown concealing the lion's paw under his coat. We will see this particular form of the sign concealed inside his coat in the photographs of other Luciferians. This is Anton LaVey, a Satanist and the founder of the Church of Satan. This is Annie Besant, the only woman I found so far that is giving the same lion's paw. She was an admitted Luciferian. This is a photocopy of a page from Captain William Morgan's book on the rituals of the Masons. Here is a Mason on the right side of the page giving what they call the sign of a fellow craft, but it's actually the lion's paw. This is the photograph of Lieutenant Elisha Hunt Rhodes, a Mason during the Civil War. I found his picture in a book about Freemasonry at Gettysburg. Notice that he is also giving the sign underneath his coat, just like Napoleon was. This is a photograph of Karl Marx, the so-called father of communism. Marx became a Satanist while at college, and he was a member of the Illuminati. This is Nikolai Lenin, the brutal Russian communist dictator who started the Communist Revolution in Russia in 1917. This is a statue of Joseph Stalin, the brutal dictator of Communist Russia. He's giving the sign halfway in and halfway out of his coat. And this is a photograph taken off of the internet of him giving the same sign. So the statue is based upon real life. Lenin and Stalin together murdered 40 million Russians in that communist revolution in the early 20th century. And they both were involved as having been born again to Lucifer, Satan, the devil. Isn't it an interesting coincidence that both these men were dedicated Luciferians? This is John Wilkes Booth, the assassin of President Abraham Lincoln. Booth was a Knights Templar Mason, which is a branch of the overall Masonic Lodge, and the sign he is giving, I believe, is the sign of the Knights of the Golden Circle, a 14,000-member secret society formed prior to the Civil War. In fact, this group was formed in 1837